Hi, this is Seth David from the world-famous Nerd Enterprises Incorporated, bringing to you another special screencast. This time we're talking about planning your internet marketing to manage your chances of success. Knowledge is power. Make an impact by learning more. Call me now, 866-945-8070 for information about private trainings. We record the live session so you can review it afterwards as often as you like. Okay, so the purpose of this video is really to give you some ideas as far as how you can start setting up your internet marketing budget. I'm going to keep it fairly simple for this purpose. Obviously, you can expand on the knowledge based on what you've seen here. So we're going to look at two things here. We're going to look at QuickBooks and we're going to look at Excel. QuickBooks is a tool that most businesses use, of course, to track their financial accounting and bookkeeping information. And Excel is the tool that we use to analyze it. So I do all of my budgets in Excel. QuickBooks does have a budgeting feature, but you don't have the flexibility that Excel can provide you with in terms of customizing the way things are set up and how you look at them. But I wanted to show you in QuickBooks how you might set up your internet marketing, because there's a lot of different ways to do this. And so when you're in QuickBooks, let's go start from a blank screen. We're going to come over here to lists and we go to chart of accounts. And once we run that, we're looking at our account structure. So the question is, in terms of internet marketing, how do we want to describe this? Do I want to have one line item called internet marketing? And in that line item, I would put any, the fees for any consultants that I pay to help me with internet marketing, my SEO, if I hire an SEO expert to help me with that. I can put all of their fees into there. Applications that I pay for, like Hootsuite for Twitter and any of this other stuff that I use really for the purpose of building my presence on the internet, could theoretically be stuck in one very general category called internet marketing. And to be very honest with you, this is the way I suggest that people do it, because we get bogged down with trying to show all this detail in our profit and loss, and it's just not necessary. The reality is I can go back into my profit and loss, and as I'm going to show you in a minute, I could double-click the internet marketing expense and then total it by payee to see exactly what makes that line item up. And I'm a firm believer in keeping the account structure simple, because it makes the financial statements much, much easier to read. And like I said, the important thing is I can get to the detail if I want it, but I don't need to have it at the very top level, such as on the P&L. So we're going to set up the account structure in QuickBooks, and based on what I just explained, what I would be inclined to do is create a new account here. This is a brand new company file. It's going to be an expense account. We'll click continue. We're going to call this internet marketing. Now what I might be inclined to do, and let me just quickly enter some bills here. So this way you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. So let's say I have a $500 bill for this internet marketing. Save and new. Let's say that I've got Hootsuite, which is for the application for Twitter that a lot of businesses use. Let me quick add that, and I think that one's about $26 a month, something like that. I can put that to internet marketing. So now when I run a profit and loss, and I just want you to see what this looks like visually, see I have one line item for internet marketing, which is $526.50. If I want the detail, I just double click this. And I can see now, obviously I've only got 2 transactions here, so it's easy enough to read just like this, but under the total by here, I can come down here and total it by vendor or payee. Doesn't really make a difference in this case. Total it by vendor though, and this way I can see it'll show me separately. Here's what I'm spending on Hootsuite, here's what I'm spending for SEO website help. So this is how I would recommend setting it up in QuickBooks. Once we have it in QuickBooks, and as I mentioned in the blog post, if it's important enough to put it as a line item in QuickBooks, then I need to budget for it. And that's where I'm going to bring Excel into the picture. So what I've done is I've set up a very simplified budget, and because I want to show you how to set it up, and I'm going to make the assumption that you're not an expert with Microsoft Excel. So I put some nice formatting on it. You don't necessarily have to do it this way. You can start with a nice clean white sheet like this, and the main thing is the layout. You have a line item for the income, and I just threw in here just as an estimate. Let's say our business is doing $20,000 a month in gross revenues. And then we have the expenses. Very simple. Now let's look at the internet marketing. And over here in the budget, I might want to be a little bit more detailed when I'm setting up the budget, because I have to think this through. Well, what am I spending on internet marketing every month? And I have to take a look and see what makes up this detail. So on something like this, what I will often do when I'm setting up the budget is I'll create a separate tab just for this line item, and I've set that up already here. It's called Internet Marketing, and I've just got a blank sheet here, and what we can do is something like this. I can say SEO, and maybe I'm planning on spending $500 a month on that. I can call it Apps, which is for Hootsuite and any others that I might use, and let's say I want to set up a budget of $100 a month for that. I can have an SEO, maybe really to be more specific, maybe that's the pay-per-click budget. And SEO consulting maybe is another $500 a month, because I want to make sure that I'm optimized properly, and I don't know how to do that. I'm an accountant, so instead I might hire somebody to do the SEO consulting and pay him $500 a month, and then say to him, and this is the whole point, that I can go back to him and say, look, here's my budget, here's what I can afford to spend on pay-per-click. I've already worked it out. Now again, I'm keeping this very simple for a short video tutorial, so my total here on this budget line item would be $1,100 as a monthly budget. So total internet marketing. Now the other thing is, I don't like to stop here necessarily, because the reality is our businesses are cyclical and different things happen at different points in the year, especially if you have a business that's affected by the seasons, let's say if you're selling sporting equipment or something like that. So what I'd like to do, and I'm going to take these cells here, that just the January through December, and let's roll this out for the entire year. Now initially I can just copy this all over, because I'm going to assume that most months are going to be about the same. But maybe I know that I need to plan in my budget for let's say it's the holiday season, right? So the holidays come October, November, December, let's say. And so maybe I want to step up my pay-per-click starting a couple of months before that, because I want to plan for the season. So maybe over here I want to increase these to $1,000 a month. And then I can go back to John, my SEO consultant, and say, hey John, for August through December, let's plan on $1,000 a month on the pay-per-click. Now it's very easy to come back here to the income and expenses, and I come into my internet marketing line, and I just type an equal sign right here, and then I can click over on the internet marketing, and I'm in the January column, so I'm setting up January's budget, and I just point to the total for January. I just literally click on it, and you can see the dotted line going around it, and I hit enter. At that point I can just copy this across. I press Control-C, Shift, and my right arrow to highlight across, and then I hit enter, and it copies my formulas across. And sure enough, notice what it does in August. It picks up the extra $500 a month right here. Now, anytime I want to play around my internet marketing budget, I can come over here and play with the numbers and know that the instant I change something, let's say I say, you know what, I don't need to start as early as August. Let's bring that back down to $500. I change the number here, and look what happens over here in the income and expenses. It of course drops it down. And the beauty of this is now I can look and say with all of my other expenses, let's say other advertising, I'm spending $2,000 a month. Let's say my rent is $5,000 a month. Let's say I've got a big warehouse. So I can drop these expenses in, and let's just say, I'm just going to throw this in here, all other expenses. And let's say all of my other expenses, we're going to call it $7,000 a month. I can see from this budget now, my net income comes down to the $4,900 a month. And that's the beauty of this, because I can see if I'm going over. I can see if I go negative here, it means I'm spending too much. At least I know I've done the planning. And of course, then I want to back up for a minute, take a broad stroke look at this and say, am I being realistic? Can I easily? And the income projection, on a projection like this, the income should be something I can easily attain without having to even think twice about it. That's how conservative I want to be when I'm setting this up, because I want to make sure I'm not overspending here. And the only way to do that is to make sure that this is the bare minimum of what I'm going to do with my eyes closed and my hands tied behind my back. I know hands down, there's no question in my mind, I can easily hit this number. Then I can, and that's what you want to do when you're setting the expenses up. Then I can challenge myself and say, okay, well, I want to raise the bar and see, what I can do to increase the income each month. But I don't set my expenses based on that. I do that after I've established what my expenses are going to be, when I've made the assumption that income is the lowest it's going to ever be. That's how you want to set up your expenses. Then if I raise the bar and say, okay, starting in April, I want to do $25,000 a month, then what I can do is come February, March, or if I see that I'm getting close to that goal, or certainly if by April let's say I've exceeded the 25,000, then I can come down here and start playing around again and say, okay, I've been consistently doing better than I budgeted, which means I can afford to spend a little bit more on the internet marketing. One other quick tip I'll give you, which can just help in terms of navigation. Since I know I've linked this line item to another tab, I can hyperlink it. So while I've got the internet marketing description selected here, what I can do is I can press Control K as in kite, and that brings up my insert hyperlink dialog. And I can go to a place in this document and just choose the internet marketing cell tab, and then the cell reference of course defaults to A1, which is fine. I click OK and it will turn it into a hyperlink, which is now hard to read against my blue background. But maybe what I would do at this point is just change the formatting here a little bit so that's a little clearer to read. And then once again, if I set this hyperlink up, it gives me my blue, my recognizable blue hyperlink text. But that's how we can begin to set up a budget. As always, I'm available for questions. Visit my website at www.nerdenterprises.com, nerdenterprises.com/blog if you want my blog, or visit me on YouTube at youtube.com/nerdenterprises, which is where you'll see this video in its home, if it's not embedded somewhere where you're looking at it now. And feel free to always post your comments and questions. I would love to get them, and I would love to take the time out to help you by answering them. Again, this is Seth David, Nerd Enterprises Incorporated, how to plan your internet marketing to maximize your chances of success. This has been a presentation of planning your internet marketing to maximize your chances of success, presented by Nerd Enterprises Incorporated. Knowledge is power. Make an impact by learning more. Call me right now, 866-945-8070, for additional training about this or any other topic you ever see me cover on YouTube or the blog. Every live session we do with you privately, we record for you so that you can review that session, both video and audio, afterwards, as many times as you need to in order to maximize your retention of the content that we've gone over. So give us a call now, 866-945-8070. I look forward to speaking with you soon.